Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2022-2023 Greenwich Public Schools Distinguished Teachers Awards Ceremony. I'd first like to thank Jason Polis, and the GHS Jazz Ensemble for their wonderful playing tonight. My name is Tom Healy, and I'm the principal of Central Middle School and your host for today's very special event. I'm honored to welcome you all here today to celebrate this extraordinary group of educators on the stage. It is wonderful to see so many people gathered here today to show their support, appreciation, and love for these 6 special individuals and the impact they have made on countless students in our community. I would also like to take the opportunity during Teacher Appreciation Week to thank all of our teachers who make a difference in the lives of our children. At this time, I'd ask that you please rise if you are able for the performing of our national anthem by the GHS Jazz Ensemble.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stacy Lovelace, the chair of the Greenwich Distinguished Teachers Award Committee. Thank you, Mr. Healy and Central Middle School for hosting our awards ceremony again this year. And thank you to the Greenwich High School Jazz Ensemble for performing this afternoon. It's always a treat to hear you, and I'm looking forward to it at the Greenwich Town Party, too. There you go. A little personal sidebar here. As I think about teacher appreciation and distinguished teachers, we've had 4 daughters, my husband and I, come through the Greenwich Public School System, and we've been so fortunate to have many distinguished teachers, and those that were just nominated, and just outstanding educators in our lives, and our daughters' lives. And, you know, our oldest daughter, as a first grader, had an amazing teacher. She was a distinguished teacher. And our eldest daughter has gone on to become a teacher herself in Boston. And, you know, my girls were so excited that I got to be a part of this program. I feel very fortunate. And as I was coming up here, they told me to break a leg. I said, check. And I'm just so grateful that the saying isn't break a neck. So happy to be here and for this wonderful celebration. Now I'd love to welcome everyone that's here today, starting with our distinguished guest, Superintendent of Greenwich Public Schools, Dr. Tony Jones. Chair of the Greenwich Board of Education, Mr. Joe Kelly. President of the Greenwich Education Association, Ms. Lillian Perrone. The First Selectman of the Town of Greenwich, the Honorable Fred Smith. We're also fortunate we've got state citations that have been signed by our representatives, senator and representatives. They are very busy in session right now and not able to attend this celebration, so we understand that. They'll be going into the wee hours of midnight. Additional people in the audience we would like to recognize and thank for their support of our Distinguished Teachers Awards program. Please stand as you're mentioned. Board of Education members, Board of Selectmen, members of the Board of Estimate and Taxation, members of the Representative Town Meeting, and all of our wonderful elected officials. Also thankful for our GPS community partners, the police department, the fire department, emergency medical services, members of the Distinguished Teachers Award Committee, we also receive invaluable help from the ex officio member of our committee, Director of Communications for the Greenwich Public Schools, Jonathan Stepanowicz, and Communication Assistant, Michael Antonacci. Let us also thank our sponsors, the PTA Council and the PTAs from every school in Greenwich, the Kiwanis Club, the Greenwich Organization of School Administrators, the Greenwich Education Association, Greenwich Alliance for Education, the members of the, I've already said them, but to the Distinguished Teacher Award Committee again, thank you. Thank you, sponsors, for allowing us to continue this tradition. Now let's take a moment to recognize all the previous honors of the Greenwich Distinguished Teachers Awards who are here today. Please stand. Before we begin the presentation of this year's Distinguished Teachers, I would like to give you some background information on this award. This is the 38th year of the committee and the awards, which are based upon criteria that describe characteristics of distinguished teachers. Our committee of 20 people is composed of representatives from the Board of Education, PTA Council, Greenwich Organization of School Administrators, Greenwich Education Association, the Kiwanis Club, and the community at large. We are a standalone nonprofit not related to the Greenwich Public Schools. Our members independently review the nomination packets for every teacher nominated and complete a ballot which determines the 6 distinguished teachers. The details of our process can be found in your program. The 6 teachers you are going to meet today exceed the criteria used to identify a distinguished teacher. While they teach different age groups and different subject matters, we are here today to celebrate what they all have in common: excellence. These teachers share their love of learning with their students and encourage them to achieve at a high level in relation to their abilities. They generate enthusiasm in their students and inspire them to take responsibility for themselves and their learning. They foster growth and achievement in their students, in part because they themselves are still growing and achieving. They are studying, researching, and attending professional development opportunities to continually look for the best ways to teach their students. They collaborate with colleagues and share ideas and best practices. And they have made many contributions to their school and the district beyond their classroom or room. To show our appreciation, each teacher today will receive certificates of recognition from the Greenwich Public Schools and the Town of Greenwich, a state citation, and a check from the Distinguished Teachers Awards Committee. I will now turn it over to our first speaker, Mr. Fred Camillo, First Selectman of Town of Greenwich.
Thank you, Ms. Lovelace. Distinguished panel here, award recipients and guests, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Almost every profession or lawful profession I can think of has value and worth. But it's hard to find one that's as impactful as the teaching profession. I was fortunate enough to join your ranks for maybe 1 year, a little over a year, many years ago as a high school history teacher in New York. And I gained a great respect for the preparation and passion that goes into it. And for your receiving this designation and this recognition really shows how much you've prepared and how much passion you have for your profession and for your students. So I want to congratulate you for your good works and the impact that you're having on everybody. God bless, and congratulations, and best of luck in all your future years.
And now I'd like to introduce the Chairman of the Board of Education, Mr. Joe Kelly.
Mrs. Mialakis, Sister Joan, Mrs. Spiegel, Mrs. O'Rourke, Mrs. Spiro, Sister Jean Edmond, Mr. Galzin, Sister Margaret, and Mr. Zolo. Those are my kindergarten through 8th grade teachers. I was thinking, what am I going to say when asked to speak today? I said, you know what, maybe I'll jot down the names of my kindergarten through 8th grade teachers. I also was able to list 15 high school teachers. And then I realized I don't have to write them down because I remember them. You remember your teachers. They are in your mind for the rest of your life. My kindergarten teacher, I remember she was a little lady, even as a kindergarten, through the eyes of a young student. She was very little, but she wore this beehive hairdo, and it made her like 4 inches, 5 inches taller because she wore that Mrs. Mialakis, and I remember that. That's 55 years ago, okay? And I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I remember that teacher from 55 years ago. You teachers have such an important role to play. You are burnt sometimes, like Sister Margaret, who did, in fact, make me wear the dunce cap and sit in the corner of the classroom because I did have behavioral issues. Some say I still do have behavioral issues, but I literally, many times, was in the corner, and it's burnt in my memory. Sister Margaret sitting me in the corner, and the other kids, but we won't go into that. That's the psychiatrist handles that. But basically, no, I'm just kidding. I do remember each of those teachers. I remember them so well. And that we have them and carry them through the rest of our lives. Think right now, the people in the audience, and even the teachers here and those that are here in support of those teachers, think about the teachers you had. Just take a moment. Think about your kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade teachers. Picture them. Imagine them. Many of you right now can blurt out the names. And if you had co-students in those classes, you'd be sharing experiences with them. It's such an important, lasting role that teachers play on every human being. You teachers touch hundreds, if not thousands of children, and they, for the rest of their lives, will remember the impression you gave them. They'll remember your name 55 years ago, like I remembered my kindergarten teacher. They're going to remember that. So it's so important to be good. And you guys are being honored for being good. So thank you very much for being good. Thank you very much for giving a lasting, lifelong, forever impression on people in a positive and a good way. And so thank you to all the teachers here for doing all that good. Thank you very much.
I want to let Mr. Kelly know that all of our wonderful teachers know that there are no such thing as bad kids. There are kids who make some questionable decisions, some more than others. At this time, I'd like to welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Tony Jones.
Thank you. First of all, good evening. I'm so delighted and honored to be standing on the stage with all of you as an educator. And, I want to take just a minute to say, first of all, thank you for choosing what I truly believe is the best profession in the entire world. You make such a difference in the lives of children, and if you're sitting here today, it's for a reason. It's because you touch the life of a child or a young person, and I think we all know that really great teachers, it's not just about content, it's not just about reading or math. It may have been when a child lost a loved one in a family. I look back over the last few years and how teachers, and all of our teachers who are here tonight, made such a difference in the lives of families and what you've been able to do. So thank you. Continue to do that great work, and just know that you are making a difference. And I think what Joe said, you're so right. You know, I can think back to, I won't say how old I am, but you know, I can think of all of my teachers who really impacted me as a person and who I am now. And a lot of times, again, it's not always about the content. It was something that they said. And I can still remember sentences that teachers said to me that made an impact. And I remember asking a teacher to sign a yearbook, and I still can tell you exactly what that teacher wrote in my yearbook because it touched my heart. And I think I was probably 11 or 12 years old, and I've kept that my entire life. So thank you, and congratulations.
And now for somebody who also deserves a lot of appreciation for all of her work during Teacher Appreciation Week, President of the Greenwich Education Association, Ms. Lillian Perun.
Hello to my Greenwich family, because we are an educational family, and that's what makes us all so great. You know what I love about this time of year? Besides being Teacher Appreciation Week, honoring all our teachers, next week is Mother's Day, although my mom told me Mother's Day is every day. And here today, honoring our distinguished teachers, it's spring. Spring is a time when life is alive in everything. We plant the seeds knowing great things are awaiting beneath the surface. Only when the flowers start to bloom do we realize the potential that existed beneath our feet all this time, burst through with such life and beauty. Our distinguished teachers that we have here honoring today have planted these seeds. The only difference is they don't have to wait to see the flowers bloom, to know their beauty or their potential. They know, and they have faith that in planting their seeds, that all children can learn and grow when they are cared for, loved, respected, and nurtured. In a very few moments, you will hear testimony of their distinguished efforts. But their plantings are not annuals or perennials. They are life annuals. I think I just made that word up. For they have planted within their students that will grow forever in their mind, body, and hearts, and forever and then some. Thank you.
And now for the main event. We're going to hear from 6 nominators, followed by distinguished teachers. And I'd like to introduce first up Liz Rutledge, who nominated Aaron John for this award.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here in celebrating this year's distinguished teachers. Congratulations to all of the nominees and the winners, especially our two from New Lebanon School. It is certainly a huge deal for our Bobcat community, and I say this because all of our teachers at New Leb are truly what makes our school a special place to be. When I was asked to be the parent nominator, you must know that the answer was obvious. In fact, the answer would have been simple for many parents. So as I stand here this evening, I can't help but feel that pinch me moment to be the one to recognize just a few of the reasons that make Mrs. Erin John an extraordinary teacher. Aside from having 16 plus years experience under her belt, 11 being at New Leb, Mrs. John sets the bar high when it comes to just about everything. Aside from being with her first graders, she wears many modest hats, including PTA Curriculum Enrichment Chair, Safe School Climate Affiliate, Social Committee Member, Magnet Open House Presenter, and many more. If you've ever had the opportunity to work with or see Mrs. John in action, this comes at no surprise. Her ability to achieve and continuously make it look effortless is notably why she is New Leb's go-to teacher. There is no doubt that students, parents, and colleagues all feel the same authenticity. It doesn't take long to realize the immense amount of fondness and high regard that she holds. Professionally, her passion for learning and progressing is endless. For parents, there is a satisfying comfort to know that she's a valuable part in what makes New Leb an amazing school. But to have your child in her classroom is the cherry on top. Being a magnet family herself and choosing to send her children to New Leb speaks volumes of her support, and many parents thoroughly enjoy knowing that she's a local resident and understands our community. Mrs. John's encouragement and involvement are just a few attributes as to why she earns the respect of others, and her unparalleled dedication is evident by noticing that her car is always one of the first ones parked at our school and one of the last ones to leave. On behalf of our parent community, both past and present, we can all agree that Mrs. John's sense of humor and strong credibility makes you wish your child could have her as their teacher forever. She applies positive energy, inclusivity, and equality with every single student, all while making learning fun and innovative. When challenges are faced, she confronts them with confident and supportive strategies until expectations are met. If you ever spent time in 1J, you'll quickly realize that every inch of her tidy classroom tells a story, and every direction from her is in the form of a song and a dance. But one important element I must mention is that when my son has demonstrated behaviors I can't say I'm particularly proud of, I learned that there's a whole lot more to her sweet and gentle disposition. In true Mrs. John fashion, her words and demeanor have a reassuring way of instilling accountability, yet in the most nurturing manner. I cannot do that. Her constant push to practice, read, and never give up shines upon her students each year, and not only shows in their desire to learn, but rather in their growth and academic success. There are many reasons to admire Mrs. John, both personally and professionally. However, if I had to note something she has taught me as a parent, it is to complement the expected times. They are just as critical and important as pointing out the unexpected times. And Mrs. John implements this by occasionally sending home happy mail, which recognizes students' small moments of positivity. Her words of encouragement inspire students to be self-sufficient, confident, and leave them feeling that anything is possible. After nearly 4 years of knowing Mrs. John, I've had the pleasure of experiencing and developing the utmost respect for her as a teacher, admire her as a mother, and appreciate her for all that she does willingly outside of her classroom and even her profession. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the teacher who is beyond deserving of this award. The one who easily blends in with her little first graders, and the one who rocks a headband and a fresh pair of kicks like no one else. The one and only Mrs. Erin John.
Now. That was amazing. Thank you, Liz. Thank you. It feels amazing to be here and see our New Leb family and so many people here. Thank you to so many special people for this opportunity. Thank you to my nominators, Liz Rutledge, Anna Shaheen, and Allie Michelson, for always believing in me. Thank you to the nominating committees in past years, parents and teachers alike. And a special thank you to my family, Brett, Scarlett, Carter, my parents and in-laws. Thank you for your unwavering support and love. Thank you especially to the New Lebanon community. I am who I am today because of you. I'll never forget when I was hired to teach at New Lebanon School over 11 years ago. It was my 6th year of teaching, but my first in kindergarten and my first in Connecticut. So naturally that first year, I asked my teammates a million questions, and they were always met with patience and understanding. When we planned together. We prepared materials for all 3 of us. And when we taught science and social studies, we did it together. We each had a role and worked seamlessly to teach, support, and cultivate great thinkers across our grade level. That first year, I questioned the strong teamwork aspect, wondering if it was unique to that grade level team. And the response I received was, "That's how we do it here at New Leb." And what I found is this statement rings true every day. What we do in the New Leb community, we do together. We celebrate growth and success. We support one another through difficult times. We learn and grow as a school team. It's this network of support, kindness, teamwork, and family connection that exemplifies our teaching and learning community. New Leb is a place to challenge myself, to grow, and to be supported every step of the way. I have the chance to try, fail, reflect, and grow. I am so fortunate to be a part of this amazing community of teachers and learners. Thank you again, New Leb. You've made me the educator I am today, and I promise to keep striving for greatness and making you proud.
Next, we will hear from Julie Permeniars, who nominated Gaspar Lopari.
I met Gaspar in 2019 when he applied for a Reaching Out grant from the Greenwich Alliance for Education called Unbound Innovations VR. In his application, he explained virtual reality as an immersive multimedia experience in a computer-simulated environment that brings students to real or imagined worlds. Wow, what does that even mean? Well, what it meant is that Gaspar was a curious and innovative teacher and knew that building a virtual reality and augmented reality program at Western would give students opportunities to learn and explore in ways they never had before. And who knows, gaining access to VR might just spark a student's interest to pursue college majors like immersive media design, computer engineering, and careers in all sorts of IT-related fields. In the summer of 2020, to help the Alliance fund jobs for avid students and alumni, he designed a 2-week immersive program to field test a variety of the software applications he was planning to use when students returned to school. Gaspar has found teaching VR experiences allows him to actively engage students in questions that matter to them, cultivating a classroom environment of mutual respect. Over the years of the 3 years of grant funding, and now with Unbound Innovation Summer Camp, Gaspar has made valuable connections in the VR industry to grow professionally and has leveraged these relationships to bring unique experiences back to his students and colleagues. Gaspar's colleagues note he is always ready and able to share insights and expertise and co-design valuable learning experiences across the building. Recently, I was with Gaspar at Summer Fair, where he showcased the XR Summer Camp. Former students and parents approached our table so eager to shake Gaspar's hand and to thank him for being such a great teacher. As the executive director of the Greenwich Alliance, I have the utmost respect for Gaspar Lopari, and I am so excited to congratulate him as a Greenwich Public Schools Distinguished Teacher 2023.
Thank you, Julie. And may the 4th be with you. Good evening, esteemed guests, fellow educators. I'm deeply honored to receive this Distinguished Teacher of the Year award, and I would like to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to the selection committee and to Julie Faranyars, the Executive Director of the Greenwich Alliance for Education, for nominating me. If it were not for her faith and investment in me and my vision, along with the Alliance's board and their supporters, the program we've built would have still been a seed of an idea lying dormant. But instead, we are expanding it, partnering together in an effort to reach more students around Greenwich through a camp we're offering this summer. I would also like to express my appreciation for my wife, Jennifer, and my 2 beautiful, brilliant rays of sunshine, Alex and Megan, who have patiently put up with all of the extra hours I've put in working. And then there's my work family, which has grown over my 25 years in education. A work family that includes so many amazing individuals that it would take all night for me to name them all. But there are a special few who share my end of the hallway, excuse me, and who have inspired me in many ways. They are like brothers and sisters to me. My across-the-hall sister, Michelle Gerlando, who won this award a few years ago, who seconded my nomination, and who inspires me to raise the bar with my students in English classes. And Alex Howard, my brother on the corner, who spends lunchtime connecting with students playing Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. And then there's Tyler Riccozzi, who won this award last year. My next door sister, who was recognized last year and for her tireless efforts to cheer on kids at every sporting event or after school activity when she's not coaching them to victory, which she is right now. This is just a sampling of what goes on at Western that makes us a family that looks out for our kids emotionally as well as academically. They all give me an inspiration to innovate and connect with students in new and exciting ways. We also have amazing parents at Western, though they make us do chores like lunch duty. We love them anyway. There's our dad, Gordon, who's in the back. He's tough and strict when he has to be, but always empathetic and thoughtful, compassionate and caring. And as any good father, encourages us to take risks and innovate to be the best we can be. And then there's Suzanne, the thoughtful and nurturing mother who tirelessly supports all we do and takes especially good care of our most at-risk students. And Erin Montague, our strong Italian mother, who is a perfect mix of both Gordon and Suzanne. She feeds us with motivation, is a problem solver when we need her, and is a remover of obstacles. She knows how to connect the dots and is truly an amazing leader. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. As educators, we have the power to make a positive impact on the lives of our students and to transform our communities for the better. It is a privilege and a responsibility that I take very seriously. It is why, as teachers, we seek to first make sure our students are in the mind frame to learn. Those connections we make with them matter. Then we will know how to inspire and empower them, how to make them independent thinkers, which is a hard task in today's world, and how to be curious and explore ideas that discover opportunities that they never knew existed." Albert Einstein once said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." It is curiosity I instill in my students, encouraging them to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and approach problems from different angles. And through technology of virtual and augmented reality, the exploration and discoveries, the ingenuity and innovation that students pursue are limitless. It is why I call my program Unbound Innovations, and why it has the power to transform education. We answer questions like, what if going to school meant visiting other countries to learn their language, or suiting up and traveling across the universe to get a close-up look at the solar system, or conducting science experiments to learn up close the impact of Newton's laws, or see the purpose why we do math firsthand, using formula for slope to help engineers solve problems. What if teaching wasn't just one or two dimensional? What if it were interactive, immersive, and timeless? I am humbled and honored to receive this award, and I want to thank all of my colleagues, my administrators, and students for their support and inspiration. Let us continue to work together to create a world where education is a transformative force that empowers individuals to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Christine Surratt.
who nominated Aaron LaFaro.
Many extraordinary things happen here at Central Middle School. One in particular is seeing students line up outside Mr. LaFaro's classroom, eager to get inside and get to work. How does he do this? He is a triple M, Master of Middle School Motivation. From my viewpoint as a parent, he has a unique LaFaro formula, which is 1 part passion, 1 part compassion, and 1 part humor. First, his passion. Mr. LaFaro plays multiple instruments, and he can also expertly arrange any piece of music. If a student wants to play the latest hit from Taylor Swift, Mr. LaFaro is on it. He creates the sheet music, and often it is these songs selected by students that we get to hear in concert. Second, his compassion. Mr. LaFaro is a beginner who never gave up. He knows exactly what it feels like to be a middle schooler, and this is always in the back of his mind when teaching our kids. Third, his uncanny sense of humor. His classroom is filled with laughter, and if you ever receive one of his emails, be sure to read it carefully. His notes are full of clever puns, wit, and subtle references to music history. This sense of humor comes in handy because music is hard. Music is optional. Music is easy to quit when the going gets tough. But like a great coach, Mr. LaFaro inspires his students to keep it light, play it again, Mary, and most importantly, never, ever give up. In his class, my children have learned the power to persevere. Take a sad song and make it better. This is what makes music one of the most important subjects they have studied in the Greenwich Public Schools. Today, they play in the GHS Orchestra. When I attend those spectacular concerts, I often think to myself, this all began back at Coscob School, where Mr. LaFaro auditioned my son on a quarter-size bass saying, dude, go for it. This oomph, this collaboration, this love of what you do is what great music is all about. And it takes a distinguished teacher to instill these values in his students. Great musicians inspire other great musicians. Mr. LaFaro inspires his students every day, and the world is a better place because of him.
No, guy.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much to everybody coming today, and thank you for the Distinguished Teachers Committee for this award. I'm lucky to have had many teachers that have motivated me over the years, but there is one that stands out as the reason why I became a music teacher. I was witness to her tireless devotion to her students' music education. Anna Ostrowski, who was my teacher starting from the age of 9 all the way to 18. She's an outstanding violinist and orchestra teacher. And one of her unique lines was to always perform music with passion, or as she would put it, say, go home and eat a sandwich. I wouldn't be standing in front of you today to accept this honor if it weren't for the help of so many people. First, I'd like to extend my gratitude to my nominator, Christine Surratt, who not only advocated for me in this honor, but afforded me the opportunity to work with both of her children, Theo and Elliot. To all my colleagues at CMS and all other schools that I've worked with in this town who have graciously supported me, I thank you. We have some people in the audience right now. Thank you for coming. I've always been supported by my wonderful administrators to do my job well, and I do not take it for granted. Thank you to Scott Tringati back there, Mr. Healy right there. Lauren Shosted is in DC. She was going to phone in, but you know. And of course, my music supervisor, Laura Newell. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by so many brilliant music educators in our district that play at a very high level. We have some of them right here in our audience. They are inspiring to me and want me to be a better teacher. And you can see how dedicated these musicians are. Case in point right here with the jazz ensemble. Beautiful playing today. I also have a terrific team to work with on a daily basis, and two of my closest colleagues, Rebecca Lipschutz and Michael Strange. I would not be as successful as I have been without their friendship or collegiality. I would like to thank all of my dedicated students, past and present, over the past 20 years that have taught me so much about what and how to teach. It is my hope that I have given them and will continue to give them the experience of delivering memorable performances. Last but not certainly least is my deepest gratitude to my family. My wife, Lalonde, my two children, Andrew and Ella, and my sister who joined me today, Jennifer, along with my other sisters, my brothers, and of course my parents. Thank you for always supporting my musical endeavors. Thank you for coming.
was wonderful once again. Moving along, we're going to introduce Bianca Lupinacci, who nominated Joan O'Day.
We all have that one person that changed our life. Think about it. Who was yours? Mine was Joan O'Day. Hello everyone, I'm Bianca Lupinacci. I'm beyond honored to be speaking here today, and even more honored to have had the chance to be speaking on behalf of Miss O'Day, my school social worker, friend, role model, and the person who changed my life. Recognition for school social workers is long overdue, the last school social worker recipient being Marianne Murray in 2007. Let's give a hand to all the social workers, especially Joan O'Day. Throughout my 4-year voyage, I've been constantly reminded of my first day at Greenwich High School. It was 2019, pre-pandemic. I was a wild one, and Mr. Healy, my middle school principal, can attest to that. Freshman year, I lacked purpose, strength, and ambition. But now I'm about to graduate. I've mastered all of these and a multitude of other qualities. Teachers like Miss O'Day see potential in every child. Not only acknowledges students' hard work and accomplishments, but celebrates them big or small. She showed me how I could do anything I put my mind to. When teachers believe in you, like she believed in me, you cannot help but work harder. Miss O'Day goes above and beyond every day. She exceeds students' expectations, taking on additional workloads, never turning down a child, even from another house, or a teacher in need of advice. Always going the extra mile. Miss O'Day's compassion is the glue that holds Greenwich High School together. How do you thank someone who believes in you when you did not believe in yourself? Who saw a light in you when it seemed like everything was so dark? My answer to these questions is simple: Miss O'Day. As I'm transitioning to college, stepping forward in life, I think about how I can give back the same gift Miss O'Day gave me, the gift of changing people's lives. My grades have changed exponentially. I can finally advocate for myself, and I've learned to help others struggling. I learned to believe in myself. I learned that in a world that can seem so dark and unfair, to choose to see the positive, to choose kindness, and to choose better. The sentiment of a simple thank you will never be enough to capture the magnitude of the impact Joan O'Day has made on our students, school, and entire community. Multiple generations of past and present students in this town all share a common feeling of peace, reassurance, and comfort when they hear her infamous "Hi, honey." So I ask you again, who is your person? Mine is a strong-willed, petite, feisty, and fashionable and all-above caring woman. Mine is Joan O'Day. Thank you for letting me speak tonight, but more importantly, thank you for giving Miss O'Day the recognition that is long overdue.
Okay, I will try not to cry. First, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and good afternoon. I wanted to say I'm very honored and humbled to get this award as a distinguished teacher. I want to thank my Bianca Lupinacci, Mayor Subak, Bridget Berry, and especially the Distinguished Teachers Committee, because I agree with Bianca too. It feels so wonderful to get mental health recognized, because it is such an important part of children's education. So I want to shout I also want to thank my husband, Tom, our children, my siblings. My brother Chris is here with his wife, Michelle. Thank you. My goddaughter, Tara, surprised me driving down from Massachusetts, made me cry. And I want to thank my friends, colleagues, students, and their parents for their support, their love and encouragement. I would have not been able to earn this award without all of you. It definitely takes a village. Having been a teacher and now a social worker in Greenwich for over 30 years, I know I don't look that old, I've been fortunate to have worked at Arch, Western Middle School, Old Greenwich, and now Greenwich High School. In each of these schools, I can honestly say that I have worked with so many talented and amazing educators that my entire speech could consist of naming and thanking each of you. So, since that would take quite some time and I don't want to put anybody to sleep, I want to say thank you, how much I've appreciated working with all my colleagues. However, the group that I would like to thank the most are my students. My students are the reason I come to work every day, no offense to my Sheldon colleagues. Many people have questioned me on how tough it must be to be a high school social worker. How do I deal with teenagers and their mood swings, their raging hormones, their fickleness? My answer is that I truly enjoy them. Every day makes me smile, they make me laugh, they truly bring me so much joy. Being a young person in today's world is not easy. Students are dealing with academic and social anxieties, they're being constantly bombarded with social media, and trying to adjust to the challenges of a post-COVID world is not easy. No, it isn't easy being a school mental health provider, but it isn't easy being a teenager either. I learned so much of what I know from the guidance of a dear friend and colleague, Joan Lowe. Joan was an incredible social worker and my predecessor in Sheldon House. I was fortunate to have been her intern. Joan taught me to meet the students where they are, hear what is important to them, acknowledge their challenges, and guide them with acceptance, kindness, and love. My goal of being a school social worker has been to provide my students a safe place in which they can feel free to share their struggles, their pains, their hopes, their fears, their dreams, their joys, their laughter, especially their laughter. Greenwich is a very caring and close-knit community, a big, small town. I'm honored to be part of this community and to have the privilege to work with these students and their families every day. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Dana Rodriguez, who was one of the nominators for Carol Pugliano Martin. It is my profound honor to introduce Miss Carol Pugliano, aka Miss P or Miss Pug. Miss Pugliano is extremely creative with her teaching, asking her students questions so that they think for themselves and problem solve regularly. She makes sure that all students are engaged, challenged, and focused. She makes sure that they try their best and are inspired to grow academically. My son Raphael is currently a 6th grader at Western Middle School, and he had this to say about her last year. Miss P is super creative and really fun. Earlier this year, my classmates and I were having a difficult time picking books. So she transformed the room so that into an Italian restaurant with checkered tablecloths, paper plates, utensils, and menus. The menus were divided into appetizers, entrees, and dessert courses. Appetizers represented books that were quick and easy to read. Entrees represented books that were more challenging, and dessert represented books in the middle. We used this menu throughout the year to help us choose books. It made the experience so much fun. Now I have a great list of different kinds of books to choose from this year. This was very challenging for my son because he's not necessarily a reader, so her creativity made this super fun for him. To say that Miss P is passionate about theater is an understatement. Her ALP students over the years have learned about Shakespeare and performed plays for families, and she directs many, many musicals for 4th and 5th graders, providing an opportunity for anyone interested to participate. I've had the pleasure of seeing this firsthand working with her on these musicals. I've seen students who are shy, some who struggle academically,
or those who have learning issues shine on stage in these productions. They learn to work alongside their peers and have a positive experience because Miss P offered an opportunity for them to express themselves. Recently, not that long ago, Miss P wrote and received a theater grant from the Greenwich Alliance for Education. Many students benefited from live performances in Ridgefield, after-school workshops, and an in-school residency taught by professionals. I've known Miss Pugliano for 10 years, over 10 years. She taught both of my children at New Leb. Many parents, including myself, highly respect her dedication and support of her students and families. She goes above and beyond what I consider to be the normal job of a teacher. For instance, my 10th grade daughter had this to say. When I was in 5th grade and tested for 6th grade ALP English, I didn't have the score necessary to be placed at that level. Miss P spoke to the OUT committee about my strong work ethic as a student, provided many of my writing samples, and expressed her belief that I belonged in 6th grade ALP English at Western Middle School. Ultimately, I was placed in 6th grade ALP and thrived while at WMS. She was recommended for AP English for her sophomore year, which she's currently in now. She said, if Miss P hadn't fought for me in 5th grade, I wouldn't be at the level I am today. Miss Pugliano recognized that my daughter belonged in ALP and made sure she was given the opportunity to prove herself at that high academic level. I believe that my daughter is a strong reader and writer because Miss Pugliano expected her to reach beyond her goals, and best of all, she did this in a caring and supportive environment. Because of Miss P, my daughter continues to thrive in school. She's receiving high honors and is tomorrow taking her first AP exam. She said recently to me, this is because Miss Pugliano believed in me. Introducing Miss Carol Pugliano.
Thank you so much, Dana. I think it speaks to New Lab as a whole that you can have a parent who becomes a friend, so that's pretty amazing, and Dana is that and much more. I wrote in this really big font, but I'm still going to wear the glasses. It's 7 pages, but don't be afraid, Jonathan. It's really short. I do want to thank my family. I did cut them because I didn't have enough time, but I want to thank, I feel bad. I want to thank my husband and my 3 sons for listening to or pretending to listen to all of my work stories, because there are a lot. And I'm so happy that they're here today. And my bud from HEMAP and all of my New Lab family are amazing. Thank you for being here. I must admit that the word distinguished usually does not readily come to mind when I think of myself, but I'm very grateful that the Distinguished Teacher Committee thought it was fitting. Thank you so much to the committee and my nominators, Dorina Fox, Dana Rodriguez, and Allie Michelson for this recognition. It's such an honor. If you tell me our students can't do something, I will move heaven and earth to change your mind. Changing people's perspective of our students has been my most joyous experience at New Lebanon School. This Title I school has achieved great things with a population with 61% free and reduced lunch, 12% English language learners, and 19% students with special needs. The amazing group of adults at New Lebanon School does whatever it takes to make sure our students can reach their highest potential. People say that education is the great equalizer. I would add that opportunity is an even greater equalizer. Many of our students do not have the same opportunities as students in other Greenwich schools. One area which was lacking was theater experience. I was determined to change that. I applied for and received a generous grant from the Greenwich Alliance for Education for a theater program, and I want to thank Julie Ferrinior so much for being a supporter of that program. We are finishing up year 2 of the grant. Every class from K through 5 has gone to a live theater production and enjoys a theater workshop with a visiting teaching artist. 5th graders participate in our yearly school musical. Students who came to this country speaking not one word of English
are speaking lines and singing songs in English. I see you, Amira. Students in grades K through 2 participate in theater club, where they play theater games and perform in front of their peers and families. Students in grades 3 through 5 participate in a declamation contest. Each student performs a monologue in front of their peers, families, and a panel of judges. I do not distinguish between students who are English language learners or who receive special education services. The expectations are the same. They must memorize their lines. They must speak with expression. I just expect them to do it. And do you know what? They do. So I don't let anyone tell me our students can't do something. If you set the bar high, they will not only mean it, they will jump over it. Don't believe me? Just watch. Thank you.
And finally, Julie Merrick, representing her daughter Charlotte, who nominated Maria Woodward.
Hello, I am Julie Merrick, and on behalf of my 13-year-old daughter and current 8th grade Central Middle School student, Charlotte Merrick, I am honored to introduce Distinguished Teacher Award winner, Mrs. Maria Woodward. Charlotte unfortunately could not be here this evening as she is returning from a memorable class trip to Washington, D.C. While she was very excited about the learning adventure, she is heartbroken to miss this ceremony. Charlotte asked me to read these words about this very special person in her life. Mrs. Woodward is the Wonder Woman of Central Middle School. She is a superhero. She is the backbone, the heart and soul, the face, the smile, and the nurturing mother figure for the 7th grade, and really for the entire school. Whether she is raising school spirit with a student council dodgeball game or fundraiser, or leading her students to success, she is the star of the CMS Marvel box office blockbuster. Mrs. Woodward inspires her students in a way that only a math term can fully explain, to the nth degree. Mrs. Woodward's pre-algebra class ignited a mathematical spark in me. Because of Mrs. Woodward, I realized that not only do I like math, but I can be really good at math. She added to my confidence and multiplied my curiosity. My enthusiasm for math and my expectations of myself grew exponentially because of this Wonder Woman. Mrs. Woodward creates the perfect equilateral triangle when communicating with parents and students. Each side of that triangle plays an important role. At open house, Mrs. Woodward engages parents by starting her session with a math quiz, testing the parents' algebra skills. Thanks to my dad's, or maybe it was my mom's, great math skills, I received a homework pass. Mrs. Woodward is fast thinking like a calculator. She customizes her teaching style to meet students' needs. For example, she understood my competitive spirit and often graded my tests and quizzes so quickly as she could tell I was itching to know if my studying resulted in a good grade.
Many of Mrs. Woodward's former students name her as a standout favorite teacher. In fact, one of her former students is now a math teacher at Central Middle School. Isn't that cool? Add me to the very long list of students who will forever fondly remember my days in her classroom. And I often walk by her classroom just for a quick visit. So many of her former students do the same. We feel connected to her. There are no variables in this equation, just constants. To conclude, I would like to quote one of my favorite Disney movies, Toy Story. Central Middle School's Wonder Woman, Mrs. Maria Woodward, is a distinguished teacher to infinity and beyond. Congratulations.
Well, the 2020-2021 school year challenged educators more than we could have ever imagined. That year, I learned about my potential as an educator and individual more than ever. Not only did I learn how to adapt my teaching to the ever-evolving digital age, but I learned how important making connections with students really is. No matter how much pedagogy we know or how many degrees we have, unless our students know that we care, they'll never learn from us. I try to teach at the level that a 7th grader can understand math and have learned to use current 7th grade lingo to make it more relatable. Ready, boys in the back? This year I was even inspired by the obsession of my Period 2 class with the game of Fortnite that I taught solving multi-step equations using terms that they taught me were used in the game. Stay Fortnite, right, boys? Stay Fortnite. The ability to put myself in the shoes of a 7th grader has allowed me to design my classroom to be a welcoming and safe place for students who love to be seen and heard. My classroom is a constant buzz, filled with children seeking out and receiving support, whether it be academic or social-emotional. As a teacher, I expect a high level of achievement, responsibility, and accountability from my students. I always strive to have students work to their full potential, despite the resistance I get from many. I am their math teacher, but in reality, my job goes beyond just teaching content. Every day presents new challenges, and with these challenges, I have learned to become every student's cheerleader, because when they begin doubting themselves or lose that spark, the fire inside me ignites to fight for them. That breakthrough moment, when a student finally hands in their homework, or comes to school for 5 days straight, or finds the courage to ask a question in front of the entire class, are just a few examples of what make teaching the most rewarding job in the world. I am beyond honored and humbled to receive this award and wanted to recognize everyone who has helped me be where I am today. Charlotte Merrick, even though I know you're on your way home from DC, thank you for nominating me. Tom, thank you for your leadership and never-ending support for all the ideas I have for the 7th grade, Student Council, CMS, and the community at large. Kat and Brian, thank you for making me laugh, being team players, but mostly for filling in the endless number of spreadsheets I send you every year. To the DTA committee, thank you for the time you invested in such a wonderful program and for selecting me as one of this year's recipients. To the 1,500 plus students I have served these past 17 years at Central Middle School who constantly keeping me on my toes while rising up to my challenges. To my husband, children, and parents for being a soundboard for me within the ins and outs of each academic day of each academic year. And the teachers around me that help build a community that is focused on continuously improving our standards, our strategies, and our practices in helping all of our students be successful. I lead by example, constantly working to show my students that if you put in the time and effort, great things, such as me receiving this award, can and will happen. Thank you.
All right, well, one of the advantages of being the home court is I get the last word here. And I just want to point out, no disrespect to, the high school or New Lab, but 2 Central teachers and one special shout out to a CMS alumni, Bianca. That was amazing. It's extra special. We're sorry that Charlotte isn't here, but it's always extra special when we have our students up here to present. And to have a senior in high school who's come all this way, it shows you what this is all about, and we couldn't be more proud. Thank you to everyone who's been here today, to the Distinguished Teacher Committee. Congratulations to our recipients. You are all well-deserving. We couldn't be prouder. Congratulations. And with that being said, I believe the jazz band will play us out. Thank you, everybody, for being here.